The first module, or I should say the first hour, is geared towards mindset and why mindset matters the most. It's a powerful tool. To begin, I kind of want you guys to ruminate and do a little exercise with me. Close your eyes for a second, digitally or for real. I like doing it for real. Take a deep breath, breathe in, breathe out slowly. And I want you to think about your current situation. Think about your life. Think about where you are financially in your life. Think about your family life. Maybe you have kids, maybe you don't. Think about what you want in your career. Take another deep breath. Let that sink into your mind for a second. Okay, now open your eyes. You guys do that? Pop your mic on so I know you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Got it.
Cool. All right, so close your eyes again. Breathe deeply again. And I want you to think about where you want your life to go in the next year to 5 years. What is the desired state that you want to be in? What does your business look like? What does your family look like? What's your bank account look like? Think about the car that you want or a material possession that you yet to have. Think about a trip that you want to go on. Breathe in again. What does it smell like? What do you see? I'm going to play a little interactive game. Anne, are you in the room?
Yes, I am.
Share with me what you want your desired state to be in a year to 5 years. If you could, please.
Oh, yeah, I just want to work on more development of myself. I've realized after getting into real estate, after being a stay-at-home mom for, years, my kids are 22, 19 and 16, going back to work because they're getting old and they're going to be out of the house soon. I actually didn't realize my mental state was like kind of messed up, probably because I was always confident with everything, but now getting back into the work world, I'm not. So yeah, I just gotta, I know I've grown in the past few months working on myself with joining your team and trying to read self-help books and stuff like that, but still have a long way to go. So yeah, working on me mentally and then working on getting rentals and growing my real estate business for retirement.
And this is an important exercise. So Anne was put on the spot, but when I call on you guys individually in the room, because we have a small enough group here, we can do this. Tell me in 10 to 15 seconds, if you could, what is your desired state? Jacob?
I suppose, getting financially free, for my family.
That's a good one. Jana?
Abundance.
What does abundance look like to you?
Time freedom, financial freedom. I guess freedom on the back of just about everything I can think of. So yeah, time for focusing on my own self-care and spirituality. So just having that abundance of time and resources.
That's very powerful. Jasmine, what is your desired state?
It's in line with, some other people in the room. I just want that freedom. Not being frustrated and happy. I want to be happy with what I'm doing in every aspect.
Good. Jeremy, what's your desired state? Josh Ortiz, what's your desired state?
Peace and calm.
Those are good words. Leslie, what's your desired state?
I will be open to opportunities with a growth mindset and bettering myself, in turn, bettering my legacy.
Marta, what's your desired state?
My desired state, apart from getting healthy here, working on it, really getting myself and my kids, two of my kids, got 7 in the family, so just getting them to a place where they can stop renting, start buying, buying their own home and that kind of thing, just financial and health.
Wrong. Suzanne, what's your desired state?
Serenity and peace of mind, and just glide through life. Now, I may be paddling like a duck underneath, but I like to really have that stressless, free appearance, and yet that ability to keep on working and keep on creating and keep on making it happen.
Veronica, what's your desired state?
I would say my desired state is having that fulfilled feeling of reaching real success. The success that I witnessed by all the speakers at 10X Ladies, that's what my desired state wants to be.
I love it. I love it. Okay, good. Well, we touched on a lot of people. More people are coming in, which I am so excited about. But the reason I do this exercise in the beginning is one of the most powerful quotes I realized, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, many of you have read the book, is the starting point to all achievement is desire. So when you desire something, it's something that's fueling you in your body, that's manifesting in your mind, that's creating the actions that you want in life, and it's creating you to get up every day and do more and more of that. There was a quote today I liked, actually, that I saw from Denzel Washington. One of the biggest fears that we have as individuals is putting ourselves out there, the feeling of rejection. As real estate agents, I'm sure we've all been rejected at one point or another. But what happens is the snowball effect. Our mind is our prison, or it's our sanctity, right? It delivers us to peace, or it imprisons us to slavery, basically. And so when I teach my clients about success tactics and creating great aspects in their life, Denzel Washington had a good point today. He said, you'll never be criticized by someone doing more than you. You'll always be criticized by someone doing less. And it's important for us to remember that. So one of the reasons I asked you guys, do you like public speaking and do you like getting out there and talking to people, is because if you look at success stories, Brian always says I'm a cultivator of success stories. And one of the things I love is reading biographies, seeing successful people. How did they achieve such greatness in their life? And what you start to begin to realize is it's the gift of communication. It's a powerful mindset. It's the gift of creating your story, understanding your gifts, setting your mind free, and sharing your gifts with the world. So how most people think in terms of mindset is through observations of their reality, right? Oh, I grew up with a parent who was, possibly middle class, or I grew up in poverty. You're around those types of mindsets. You think in certain ways, and they hinder us from the ability of growing, right? $1 seems to be a lot of money. $10, buying that extra appetizer at dinner. All of these things are imprisoning us in our mind. Would you all agree? Tap your mic on. Yeah, good. I just want to make sure that it's working. And so one thing I would say about mindset is observations and perceptions are our version of reality. Realities are different for each of us. We all have our own mindset. We all have our thing. And when we talk about current state versus desired situation, the reason most of us fail, and let's be honest, we're talking about financial freedom, we're talking about peace, we're talking about health, and wellness and all those things in our lives, which really permeates into our real estate businesses. It's because we have so much information coming at us at all time, which are tactical, right? You got to do more cold calls. You got to get out there, give your business card out there. You got to go to open houses. All those things create pressures on us in our business and our personal lives that don't get us the results. So what I would encourage you to do basically, when you face resistance in your life, you have to understand, is that resistance pushing me forward to that desired state that I want? Can that resistance be completely disregarded and say, I don't need this in my life, I'm out? Or do I have the right tools and the right mindset necessary to push through and avoid failure, which is what happens when a lot of us meet resistance, and become an ultimate success? Think about all the big success stories in your life. Take Amazon. Jeff Bezos is a great example of this. In 1997, he was worth about $1 million, $1.5 million. When the dot-com bubble hit in mid-2000s, he was near bankruptcy. A lot of people don't know that. He had to basically leverage everything he had to keep Amazon going. And today he's the richest person in the world. Think of our leader, Glenn. Think of Brian Culhane. Think of all the things that they risked trying to create this for all of us, and how close they were to failure at so many stages in their life, right? What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right? It's that's the perseverance of creating that dynamic of mindset success. So one of the things I would encourage you, which I encourage all my clients to do, is you need to fundamentally change the way that you think. For most people who understand their mindset, their attempts really don't master past visualizations, happy thoughts, hope. They don't understand that you need excessive and massive amounts of action and a definitive plan in place. I'll pick on Ann because she's on my team. Ann, are you there?
Yep, still here.
Okay, Ann. Now tell me in like 15 seconds, give me a definitive plan of what you want to accomplish in the next 5 years. Tell me a definitive statement.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, see, I haven't really thought of that. That's probably the problem.
Well, and you see, for me, what I look at is I'll say, okay, when I turned 27, I was a millionaire on paper. Now that I'm 32, at 35, by 35, I want to have, let's say, 10 million in assets or whatever. You got to have a definitive statement in your mind to hold yourself accountable. Now, I'll go through the room, and if you guys chime in, if I were to ask you, okay, what is your definitive statement in the next 1 to 5 years of your life, what would that be? Just start talking freely. I'm curious to see who pops on their mic first.
I just went through a goal setting exercise, so I'll chime in. My definitive statement is to create 100 doors of income appropriate home ownership opportunities in the next year.
That's beautiful. That's concise. Anyone else? No one else wants to chime in? Come on.
I'll go.
Please do.
In 1 to 5 years, I think sooner than 5 years, I want to be the nationally recognized known brand for all sports and celebrities as the go-to real estate for either selling or for receiving services.
So one of the things I would challenge you, Veronica, is that's a very strong definitive statement, but I would even contextualize it even more in a smaller sphere. Put a number to it. Put something on there that, one of the things I always teach my clients is when you look at mindset, you have to create definitive goals that you can track. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the segment. But what does that mean to you as far as numbers or outreach, et cetera?
Yeah, I would definitely start with already having like at least 100 recruits under me in order to get this brand out, because those recruits are going to be exactly who I need to help me get the brand out.
So do you have 100 recruits right now?
No, that this is exactly what I'm working on now is finally recruiting. I needed to come in and really see what this is about because I'm in protective mode with the people that I am bringing in. They're all, in the industry already. And now that I've seen that this is really it, this is the one, now I'm definitely going to start my recruiting.
Okay. Yeah, and I almost say a lot of people put the cart before the horse. When you look at your life, what is the most important thing to you? Is it your business? Is it your children? Is it your family? Is it your bank account? What is it? And track it. And that's something that we'll talk about even more. But if you're to take notes, the thing I really want to talk about most and the biggest crux of this hour talk is the 3 pillars of mindset success. In the clubhouse today, we talked about actionability. These are the actionable ability items that we can really attest to create success. So number one is preconceived attitudes and life philosophy. The ideas that we have in our mind become our reality. And it's just the truth. Manifestation is one of the biggest dynamics. So what I encourage you to do, and the reason I asked about the public speaking question earlier, we have to eradicate self-doubt. And the only way that we can eradicate self-doubt in ourselves is to constantly be doing something that's chipping away at any doubt that we have in our mind and putting ourselves in situations where we feel more confident. Maybe it's public speaking. I encourage you to, one of the things I did when I was younger is sounds strange, but it worked well, is I used to write mini 1 or 2 minute speeches, and I would get up in front of the mirror. I would totally be completely butt naked, and I would tell a speech in the mirror looking at myself. And that's a trick for all of you if you want to become a good public speaker, is if you can tell a speech to yourself naked, you can tell a speech to 10,000 people. So that's another attitude I would talk about, is you have to become an expert communicator and an expert in interacting with people. And the other thing I would say is this: the last quote of my book, which is on relationship development, is you have to remember this: you aren't always the highest version of yourself you want to be. You are the lowest version of yourself you're willing to accept. Think about that for a second, because where we are in life at this very moment, monetarily, in the form of peace, in the form of friendship, in the form of our businesses, is truly the aggregate sum of all the actions you have taken up to this point since the day you were born. You are where you are for a reason. You made significant sacrifices and choices to be here. So you got to understand that. And the second thing I would say is, under preconceived attitudes and life philosophy, if you're not getting what you want right now, I would say that there are several steps to creating your personalized success story. So I want you to look at it like a staircase. When you look at your life and you look at your desired state, look at it as you're climbing a bunch of stairs. And the first step that you take is the idea of thought, right? What you think becomes what you say becomes what you do becomes your legacy. After you think of something, what's the next thing you do? Analyze. You want to make sure it's going to work. What are the chances of probability and possibility, right? What are the chances that you're going to be successful? The next step in that staircase is planning. How do you plan effectively? What is it that you're trying to achieve? Veronica, you have a big goal coming up in doing that. It's going to take a lot of analysis and planning to get your 100 agents. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And we talked about this all the time. And one of the things that I always do when I'm in front of agents or people is I tell them, the biggest way to financial freedom is not growing your earned income, but focusing on blowing up your passive income. Rev share is a big example of that, but I would take that even one step further. As real estate professionals, you guys have knowledge about real estate that so many people in this world don't have. I want you to become real estate barons and baronesses. I want you to own so much real estate personally that that passive income is spitting out more and more and more income to you over and over and over again. I see so many failure points in agents because what they focus on is blowing up their earned income, and the IRS is taking so much money away from them that if they moved their earned income into more passive investments, their net worth would grow exponentially. Would you agree with that, Ann?
Yes, definitely. And that's one of my goals.
Yeah. And so after we think, after we analyze, after we plan, the next thing we do is we try, right? Trial and error. If you want to know if you're good at something, you try and you analyze the results, right? Okay, I failed at that. I got to do it differently. I tried to recruit this agent aggressively. Well, that didn't work. That backfired. Try again, right? And then you do. And then you keep on doing and you do it again. You start to learn, you start to master. And when you become a master at creating your own life, one of the things that ties into relationship development exceedingly well, especially in business development, is calibration. You know, the thing that's so exciting about having you guys all in this room and so many people looking at this stuff in YouTube Live is when you become successful, you become a master calibrator. How do you create commonality with people? How do you create commonality with your clients or agents that you're looking to recruit? And as Denzel Washington's, statement said, someone who is in a higher position than us isn't in a situation where they're going to condemn us for starting. We've all failed. But the question is, how do we succeed together, as an organization and with you personally, right? And so be honest with yourself. Understand, hey, I have my shortcomings. I'm really good at this. I'm really poor at this, and double down on the things you're really good at. I always condemn people that says, "Oh, you got to be good at a lot of different things." I don't think so. I think you can be good at a few things, be exceptional at them, be the best you can be at them, and then use people and the power of collaboration together to fill the gaps of those things that you're not best at. So I would say the secret to starting to get more out of what you want in your life and your real estate life is to believe that you intrinsically deserve it. One of the things I do when I wake up in the morning before Closers Club on Wednesday or before any of these classes, I get up, I go out on my balcony, I look out over this amazing sprawling view of greenery and fountains, and it's just gorgeous. Have a cup of coffee, and I do an I am statement. I think about what I'm grateful for. I think about why I'm so excited to be alive. I think about all the people that I get the privilege of touching and helping. And when you start looking at the mindset from a form of gratitude and a form of, okay, today is a gift because I can help those around me, you're going to start receiving a lot more riches in your life, not just monetarily. And I would almost say this: embrace resistance. In the beginning, when people join EXP, I hear it all the time. Oh, I have a hard time recruiting. I want my business to be more exponentially beneficial to my bank accounts, et cetera, et cetera. Great things take time. You have to naturally level up over time. How many of you have played Mario Kart? You guys ever play Mario Brothers? You can speak. Turn your mics on. I want to hear this. You guys ever?
Oh yeah, I loved Mario Brothers 20 years ago.
So think about when you're.
Yeah.
Think about when you're jumping up, hitting those little question marks, right? And you're trying to get to the next level. Life is no different than Mario Brothers. It really isn't. I mean, you're just trying to get to the next level. If you're worth $1 million, you want to be worth 2 million. If you're worth 5 million, you want to get to 10 million. If you're worth 80 million, you want to get to 1 billion. So you're constantly leveling up, and that's the beauty of life. There is no level that manifests or makes us not want to grow. That's the true gift of life. So again, number one is preconceived notions about your life and the way that you view it. The second thing I want to talk to you about is natural law. Do you guys know what natural law is? Pop your mic on. I'd like to hear what you think of that word, or 2 words, natural law.
Like the universe?
That's exactly right. So Albert Einstein had a great quote: "Amazement at the harmony of natural law that reveals an intelligence of such superiority that compared with it, all the systematic thinking and acting of human beings is an utterly insignificant reflection." So what does that mean? Natural law is the way things work naturally. Why is the sky blue? Why is grass green? Why is there certain people that are successful and seem to always be successful? Why is certain people not at the places in their lives that they keep bringing in, negative people into their life, etc., right? And the reason natural law is really important when you look at your relationships and you look at your businesses is you have to remove your opinions. We all have our opinions, right? Oh, I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat. I believe in this. I believe in that. Remove your opinions or your preferences. And I encourage you, even remove your wants and objectively understand things the way they are and why they are that way. Why are certain people rich and other people poor? Why do you think that is? And the truth is, a lot of it is proximity and opportunity and education. And that's the beauty of all these mediums, that we have now, is we have so much enriched education and access through Clubhouse, through Closers Club, through EXP, that we can go to the top quicker than we ever have in human history. And while most people, sit around angrily thinking to themselves, oh, I didn't get my shot, I didn't get what I want, oh, that agent picked someone else, etc. When you look at millionaires and billionaires and people that truly have self-abundance, you guys ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy? Tap your mic on if you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy.
Yes, I have.
So Maslow's hierarchy is a pyramid of needs that we have in our lives, right? It's a huge psychological construct. And the top of Maslow's hierarchy is what's called self-actualization. And basically, when you look at Maslow's hierarchy of our needs, we have needs of shelter, we have needs of food, we have needs of love, we have needs of community, we have needs of feeling needed. But self-actualization, and a lot of the people that we look up to in our lives, has to do with how do we become our highest self? Basically negating fear, negating those things that hold us back, truly sharing our gifts with the world. And you get to that point, your life starts to open up in a lot of different ways. And I would challenge you, think of relationships in this natural law perspective, right? Here's an old way of thinking. Oh God, all clients are just, they just don't want to commit. They just don't want to buy that house, right? You hear agents say that all the time. And I would almost reframe the question as this: how can I think differently to get my clients to take action, to give them value, and for them to really say to themselves, wow, Suzanne, Veronica, Jeremy, Jasmine, they are really an expert in this field and they treated me like family. I mean, this is an amazing opportunity I would have never had the opportunity of getting if it wasn't for their expertise. And so that's the key to the game, is reframing the construct of the way we look at people, turn a negative into a positive at all times. Think of this construct: it takes money to make money. How many of you have heard that one? Raise your hand or pop your mic on.
Yep.
Of course.
Right? And the truth is, it doesn't necessarily take money to make money. It takes access to money and creativity and the ability to tell a convincing enough story to get money. Because think of Glenn, think of Brian, 10, 12, 13 years ago, Suzanne, you can attest to this. How much money did they have?
I loaned money to Glenn Sanford.
How much did you loan him?
I loaned him about, it was about $10,000. Yeah.
There you go. And now he's worth way more than most of us in this room.
Right. He paid us back in stock, which was lovely. But a bunch of us loaned money. He called around because at that point he didn't have enough money to keep EXP going. And it was about the second year, and we were all producing as fast and hard as we could. And he just had to collect some money to make payroll, to pay Laurie, our secretary in Bellingham. So we all kicked in and made it work.
And that's a new way of thinking. That's a perfect testament of it takes money to make money. It takes people, it takes resourcefulness. It takes your ability to think of the positive. And that kind of ties into the next one, which is negative thoughts and bitterness towards people in general. Brian says it well, no one wants to hear your sob story until they hear your success story, right? And so what I encourage you, when you start formulating your mindset, is start thinking of your story in a form of a real positive, uplifting light. You know, how can I adjust my actions even slightly to get more out of this situation, to get more out of what I want? And I would also say this: stop being mad at life in general and start figuring out ways how you can take advantage of the situations you're in on a daily basis to get what you want. If someone is an expert at this particular field that you're trying to break into, shadow them. You know, one of the reasons, I mean, Ann, you can attest to this. I mean, you know, I made a lot of my money in rentals. What was the reason that you joined my team?
Because he made a lot of money in rentals, and
There
I
you
want
go.
to learn from him.
Proximity, right? Proximity.
Yep,
you know?
definitely.
And that's what life is all about. It's proximity. Get in front of people that you want to become. And mindset is contagious. And I would almost say this is even more of a polarizing statement, but I tell this to all my clients: dating, business, relationships, you always want equal or more. What does that mean? Equal or more energy, equal or more resources, equal or more excitement, equal or more advantageous opportunities for you to grow in your business and beyond. And that's the only type of people I hang out with all the time. And I love being a teacher role, and I love helping people uplift. But at the same time, you have to want to do it yourself, right? No one's going to give you a handout. So I would encourage you to look at that. Look at the people you spend the most time with, and are they equal or more in those areas you want to be exceedingly good at? The third thing that I really want to touch upon, which changed the trajectory of my life, is the concept of compound interest. Pop your mic on if you guys know what compound interest is.
Yes, like dividends.
Yeah, what else does it mean to you when you think of compound interest?
Grows on its own.
Growing your money. Oh, sorry.
Earning interest on interest.
Yeah. So Albert Einstein said it best: compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. And we hear that word compound interest, we think of money, but in reality, it's everything that we do in our lives. Our mind is constantly compounding on each other. The synapses, the negativity, the people, everything that we have in our lives compounds either positively or negatively. And so I encourage you, you know, the small actions that you take today will create exponential returns to you in the future. And whether that be recruiting a specific agent, whether that be focusing, as Michael Afito would talk about, possibly focusing on a slightly higher area to do your sales processes, maybe jump from an average sale of 700,000 and try to pump that up to 750. It's these incremental things that you do on a daily basis that create monumental change in your life. I'll give you an example. I mean, at 22 years old, I just got out of college. My net worth was probably $40,000. By 27 years old, on paper, I was worth more than $1.5 million. Didn't inherit anything, didn't really get anything. I didn't earn more than $100,000 a year in income. But why that jump in growth and net worth in a financial statement? And the reason being, in that small amount of time, that 4 years, it's the power of compound interest. That earned income, which was a small amount, I put into rental properties. I put into constantly paying off debt. to really investing and leveraging my resources to create things that pay me on a monthly basis. And so when you look at that, when you look at compound interest over time, it will grow effectively. Think of 14 years ago, Glenn didn't even have $10,000 to his name. Now he's worth 2 billion plus. All of you can do the same thing, but look at aspects of your life. How is it compounding over time? Just like small amounts of money consistently invested over time will add up to massive returns, small but consistent actions improve your personal life, your real estate life, and are compounded into massive returns into your future. So what does that really mean to you? I would say don't look for quick hits. So many people are looking for get rich quick schemes. They're looking for, if I do this or I tweak this, I'm going to have massive growth. The truth is that doesn't work that way. It's a foundation. It's a foundational element of your life. The choices that you make today are going to reverberate years into your life. So understand that you have to unlearn years of bad habits. And by definition, that will take time. Play the long game. Be consistent in your game. Whatever it is that your desired state is, make sure every single day you're creating value for that. And I would also say this, like Veronica hit the nail on the head. She has this huge goal, but there's a lot of micro goals that she needs to accomplish before she can reach that goal. Would you agree, Veronica?
Correct.
I would say make small, reasonable goals for your improvement and watch them add up over time. Don't focus necessarily on, being the biggest and the best. I would just say to myself, okay, how do I get to 5 more agents on my rev share? How do I get here? How do I get there? And constantly making sure that you are tracking all of this with laborious intent. Would you agree with that, Veronica?
Oh, completely. And as a matter of fact, I was sitting with a gentleman that I'm hiring as a business consultant, and he just was so overwhelmed and loved everything that was coming out of my mouth. And he said, first things first, we're going to sit down and we're going to do a timeline of everything. And I was like, okay, he had to hone me in and really say, okay, in order to make this happen, we're going to do the timeline first. So that's what we're going to do actually in a couple days.
Well, it's
So,
smart. Yeah, it's smart. I mean, when you look at the 3 pillars of mindset success, preconceived notions, making sure you have a positive outlook, the idea of natural law, things are the way they are. Instead of trying to change them, use it to your benefit. And last but not least, compound interest. People well, those are somewhat simple concepts, but how do I make sure I don't fail along the way? So a lot of the failure points when it comes to mindset are these next 3, and I'll share that with you so you can avoid them. The first is knowledge, the second is memory, and the third is time. When I talk about knowledge, I really think of Sam Walton. I don't know if you've ever read his book, Made in America, but what a pioneer of ingenuity in creating something that we all use on a daily basis. Walmart. How many of you have been to Walmart? No one wants to admit it. I go to Walmart all the time.
Yeah, I go there all the time too. I have to go pick up an order today.
Listen, when I lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico for so many years until 3 years ago, right? I used to get an adrenaline rush when I walked into Walmart.
Well, what an amazing, the reason I like going to Walmart necessarily isn't for the cheap prices, but that's good too, but it's what Sam Walton created. And one of Sam Walton's favorite things to do from the moment he entered the retail business was to walk over to the stores of his competitors and learn everything he could. He was fanatical about it. Most people don't know this. He had no shame into walking to other people's stores with a tape recorder or a notepad, and even asking store employees questions of how they operate, how do you think your store could be better, etc. And he was implementing those 3 steps of mindset success, right? He didn't become Walmart overnight. He was using natural law and compound interest to grow probably the biggest retail empire of all time. So think about that.
Well,
And when it comes, Or no, chime in. I'm curious to hear what you think.
Well, I just think EXP is a wonderful example of compound interest. I mean, look at our rev
Absolutely.
shares.
Yep. Oh, for sure, for sure. It's an unbelievable opportunity that we're all in, no doubt about it. And most people, unfortunately, simply don't care to seek truth or knowledge to begin with, because they lack maybe the curiosity to find the best way to do something. And here's the biggest thing. Most people lack humility enough to acknowledge that they need to change. I've been in that situation so many times, or I'm almost embarrassed to admit that I need to change something. Have you guys ever been in that situation?
Yep.
No one wants to admit it, but it's true.
I'll admit it.
Right?
Well, and I
That's
think it's easier to look at other people and say, well, they did this, they're wrong, they need to be better at that, when taking the accountability on yourself and knowing, okay, if you're expecting them to change, you should change too.
That's powerful. Yeah. The truth. Oh, jump in.
Oh, sorry, I was also thinking of the definition of insanity where you're doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. So I'm facing myself every day from the perspective of, okay, I would like to see the different results. So that means I'm going to have to change the way I do things, the way I see things, the way I think of things, so that I can get those different results. But facing that change is insurmountable. Sometimes when looking at, okay, this is what I just need to focus on today. And that requires me being comfortable with where I am right now.
Well, you said something really interesting, comfortable. How many people have heard the two most fatal words? That's good enough. Good enough. You guys ever heard of that? Good enough. No one is ever good enough. I'll just save you the suspense, because you always have to seek to learn from those who are the best at what they do and implement it in your own life. We're always in a constant state of flux. Even Brian touched upon that today. Here's a guy worth multi millions of dollars, and he's more stressed out than ever because he's trying to help more people. And our problems don't get smaller, they grow bigger with what we're trying to create in the lives we're trying to touch. So knowledge is the first failure point. The second is memory. People rely on their shaky memories of what happened in the past. Memory is extremely valuable. You need to focus on tracking and measuring incremental improvement in your businesses and your lives. How many of you are proficient in Excel? Pop your mic on.
Here I am.
Yeah. Okay. And so what I encourage you to do is, one of the biggest takeaways that I learned in my life, if you want financial success and you're looking to become a millionaire or beyond, I would really suggest you get on an Excel spreadsheet and start tracking your net worth. I started doing that at 25. And so what I do is I just list real simple Excel. You guys DM me on Instagram or something and I'll send you what I have. But basically it's what are my assets? What are my monthly liabilities? What's my net worth? And I do it every month of every year. And so I can go back in the past and I can track where I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago versus where I am today. So I encourage you, you guys take those type of copious notes when it comes to your finances. Pop your mic on. I'm just curious.
My husband does.
I actually need to improve on that.
Yeah, I need to too, though.
So there you go. That's one thing you can do today is, if you don't know, you're not going to grow. Ann knows that one, right? So track. Here's the things you guys want to track. There are 5 things that you want to attract that are extremely important to the success of your life. So I'd encourage you to write this down. The first and most important thing to your success is you have to track money. And I don't mean have a detailed budget and all that stuff, but you want to definitely track your net worth, and you want to track your assets and your liability columns. And what's your monthly nut, for lack of a better word? What's going out every month, and what are you bringing in every month? And be totally transparent and honest with that. The second thing you want to track is your interactions. Who are the people that you're saying hi to every single day, whether it be in person, digitally, like we are here today, or on your social media platforms, who's commenting, etc. Who are you interacting with? Track that. The third thing I would track is dates. Dates are important. You have to know people's birthdays. You have to know their anniversaries. You have to know dates that are important to the people around you. It shows that you care. It shows that you're taking an interest in their life. And I would also track dates that are milestones in your life as well, whether that be dates that you're proud of, financial accomplishment, relationship accomplishment, icon award accomplishment, etc. The next thing you want to track, and this is where most people don't like to track, but I would also suggest that you track your failures. What are some things that you've done that didn't get the results that you were hoping for? Why do you think that is? How can you create a different outcome? And then lastly, and most importantly, track your successes. So if something was a big success to you in your life, make sure that you make a notation of that in your life. The third, and this is the thing that I think a lot of people fail with too, is time. Cause and effect are usually highly distanced from each other. What you do today, may not affect you tomorrow, but I guarantee you it's going to affect you 3 months, a year, 10 years, 15 years from now. A great example of this is someone I love very much. My uncle needs a heart and lung transplant. And he made a lot of bad choices in his 20s, 30s, and 40s. He smoked, he did drugs, he did all these things, and he was healthy the rest of his life. But look at what cause and effect created. You can't go back and relive the choices that you made before. So I encourage you, really start to understand the process of cause and effect. And understand that these results are going to come to you 2 months, 6 months, a year down the road. Can't give up because you don't see the immediate results. I promise you they're there. It's just part of the normal process. Would you agree with that, Suzanne?
Yes, I would agree with that.
And have you looked at your life and tracked, like, wow, 14 years ago, look at what I've done in the last 14 years with EXP and beyond?
Well, I was just getting ready to look up my EXP rev share for this month, but I'm right at 30,000 for the month, and I'm not on 7 levels yet. And when I cross over on 7 levels, I'll be making 100,000 a month. I wouldn't have thought that 7 years ago, and I'm happy to be making that money, and I'm happy to be paying the taxes on it, and I'm gonna, wrap up the next 2 or 3 or 4 years and just glide, really. But I'm grateful. 30,000 a month for me this month. I'm pretty sure I'm going to look at it right now.
Hey, congratulations. You have to celebrate the successes. Awesome. Let's get you to 300,000.
But I will tell you all, there was a point I loaned Glenn money, and then the crash came. I had to rent out. I had a second home in Santa Fe and a home at the Biltmore. I had to rent out both homes, and I lived for 18 months at my friends' houses. My closet was in the trunk of my Mercedes, and I would go out, whoever house I was living in at the time, and I would go to my closet in the back of my Mercedes and get my things to get dressed for the day and go into wherever I was staying. My husband was in a home because he had Parkinson's, and he was in a rehab facility. Things have not always been easy, guys. There's a story behind all of us. So we just put one foot in front of another, and that's why I'm in this meeting today, to make sure I don't fall flat again mentally, because it's a challenge.
And another thing, Suzanne, I always almost encourage you to think bigger. I mean, you have so many resources now at your disposal. The lives you can touch and help are, unsurmountable. And I would say this, when it comes to mindset success, we'll end with some concluding thoughts. We'll do some Q&As if you guys have any questions. But remember this, a lot of people focus on tactics. Oh, I got to call more people. I got to do more open houses. I got to do all these things. That those things on their own aren't going to get you to success. It takes revamping the way that you think about the world. Think about those 3 pillars, your preconceived notions about life, how to become more positive. What is the natural law? Why are things the way they are? What is compound interest? How are you literally tracking your life day by day, and over time, how is it getting even bigger? And then look at the failure points, right? Knowledge, memory, time. And I would encourage you to think of this: a different level takes courage. You have to be courageous to go to the next step of your life. It doesn't take more energy. I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life, and it's not because I work harder. It's because I'm trying to be more courageous and help more people. And I encourage you guys to do the same. So before we end, because we're at the top of the hour, does anyone have any specific questions or any way that we can help you before we end the hour?
Yeah, I'm a visual person, Michael. Is there a workbook, either digital or otherwise, that we can deal with on this? Because I've been feverishly taking notes, but I'm a visual person, so seeing it come from your mind onto a piece of paper would be amazing.
I'll try to work on that. We're going to do this obviously on YouTube Live. So what I encourage you to do is when it goes on YouTube, take the link, re-listen to it and re-watch it and look over your notes in a more detailed manner. And then if you have certain questions or certain things that you want printed out or whatever, just DM me via Instagram or Facebook.
Thanks. Okay.
You're welcome. Anyone else have any questions?
Is this
Oh,
I'm,
go for it.
I'm sorry. Was this 10 weeks that we were going to do this, just so that I could put it
Oh,
in?
I got 20 to 25 weeks of content. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, great. So this is going to be ongoing. Okay, wonderful. Just so that I could, plan my days.
And just food for
Thank you,
thought.
Michael.
Hey, my pleasure. And just food for thought. I mean, I want to do this kind of in a linear fashion. And so there are probably 6 to 7 modules that we're going to be talking about mindset. I mean, this is just the beginning, because I really want you guys to understand your mind is your biggest cheerleader and also your biggest critic. Every moment that you are awake and the moment that you sleep, I want you to be cheering yourself on again and again and again. Anyone else before we wrap up?
Is that your own quote?
I made that up, but what do you think? Is it a good one?
Yeah, I like it. What'd you say? The mind is the biggest cheerleader and the biggest critic?
Your mind is your biggest cheerleader as well as your biggest critic. So you want to make sure every moment that you're awake and you're asleep, you're cheering yourself on.
Yep.
Anyone else want to pop on their mic before we end it here? Any questions? No? Okay, well, awesome. Hey, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for taking the time. It means a lot for me that you spent an hour with me this morning, and hopefully you guys got a lot from this. There's a lot more to come, I promise you. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So get out there, implement some of this stuff, start tracking your lives, your successes, your financial gains. Sky's the limit. Let's go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.